Good evening and welcome to our very first Ask the CEO session. My name's Jamie, Chief Executive Officer of AED Donate. So we've had a number of questions sent in to us and we're effectively going to answer them now. I haven't really seen the questions, Anne-Marie's put this together for me. So I'll try and answer them and we'll go from there. So question number one. Good question. What's happened to your shop in Market Drayton? So back in some point last year, we had quite a bad storm over in Market Drayton, and part of that meant that the shop flooded. We had an issue with the roof, we had an issue with the drainage, and with the amount of water that we had, the shop completely flooded. We worked through the night, we got the shop open the day after, but what actually happened, we then went into lockdown and came back from lockdown, but the flooding, the water from the flooding had gone all under the vinyl flooring in there. All the concrete underneath had cracked and some concrete had come up. So we had to effectively instruct the insurance company to come and have a look at it, and they put flooding and restoration company into that. And we've been closed for 6 months ever since. Back 2 weeks ago now, we had the official word from the insurance company where we could physically open the shop again and start getting the shop back to where we were. So on Saturday, the 31st of July, the shop will reopen at 9 o'clock. We've taken the option to have a bit of a move round whilst we're putting the shop back together. So it will have a new look, feel in there, but we certainly hope that the community of Market Drayton will come back and support us just like you did before we were closed, and we can't wait to get back open. Next question. Will a defibrillator tell you what to do? And that's from Daniel in Northampton. Yes, it will. So as soon as you open the lid on the defibrillator or press the on button, it will talk you through every single thing that you have to do, whether it be don't touch the patient because it's analysing the rhythm, whether it be shock advised or it's going to shock. It will talk you through everything. It'll even count you through the CPR, so you're never ever going to be sort of left on your own. And of course the ambulance service will stay with you whilst you're using that defibrillator. So not an issue with that. It will talk you through. You're never going to be on your own. Next question. What's the best part of your job? And that's from Thomas in Stone. So Thomas, nice local one. Best part of my job, I think, is when the phone rings or when we get an email from the NDN, which is the National Defibrillator Network, to say that a defibrillator has been deployed. The best part of the job is by far when you get that call to say, thanks for saving my life, or thanks for saving my husband's life or my wife's life, because without that defibrillator there or without that equipment there, that person wouldn't be here today. So that hands down has to be the best part of the job, is when we get saved. Ooh, interesting one. Who are your trustee board? That's from Jeremy in Scotland. So we have a team of trustees, and effectively in the chain, they sit separate to the charity and they oversee the charity. They make sure that I'm doing my job correctly, that we're spending effectively public funds where we need to spend them, and they authorise certain things, and they're almost like a critical friend to the charity. We have a real good mix of trustees, from trauma doctor right through to someone who has volunteering experience, right through to trustees that run other charities. So we've got a real good mix on our trustee board that effectively support me and the charity to enable us to keep doing what we need to do. Oh, another local one. This one is from Sue in Stone. How many defibrillators are there in Stone? So I think our last count there was 31. I don't think we've done any more since then. That was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We have recently moved one in Stone just this week on the business park. A local organisation is moving property, so they've moved their defibrillator with them. But I think the last count was 31. So Stone is pretty well covered, but there are still lots and lots of gaps. So do get in touch if there is a gap in your area. Alex from Knutsford, what does your typical day look like? I don't know. So some days I'll come in and I'll be at my desk all day. At the moment it's quite strange because lots of things are being done on Zoom and Microsoft Teams, and normally I would be on the road quite a lot, but I think one thing during this pandemic and one thing that it's taught us is we don't have to go out and do all these face-to-face meetings and things like that. So typical day, up nice and early, try and do a little bit of work before the kids get up, get the kids to school and nursery, and then I tend to be either here in the office delivering training or attending meetings or sat at my desk or doing stuff like that. And yeah, just keeping up with everything really. I am quite an avid person of getting out in the community when we can. You will even find me on a till in one of our shops. Tomorrow we're quite short-staffed at the moment in our retail division because of annual leave, but tomorrow you will find me on a till in our Stone shop. So yeah, my day varies from shops, desk, tech support, site visits, anything like that. I don't really have a typical day. Thank you, Alex. Ross in Shrewsbury, or Shrewsbury, depends what you prefer to say. Why did you start AED Donate? So my brief history was I was in the fire service and I worked in their training department at headquarters, which is actually just behind us now. So yeah, moved back to Aston effectively to work. And I worked in the training department and we put defibrillators onto the trucks, and worked with the ambulance service at the time to make sure that all the fire crews were trained properly and they had the right skill level to effectively deal with trauma on a scene. I didn't really know what a defib was until then, and when I saw how quick and easy and simple they are to use, I kind of thought we need to do something more with this. There needs to be more out in the community, and I saw that you could buy them, and I saw that you could buy a cabinet and are they installed and things like that, and I looked into it and almost pulled together a one-stop shop. So with us at AED, you can fundraise, you can purchase, you can lease. We'll help you fundraise, purchase or lease, and then when it comes to the actual implementation side of the defibrillator, then we will come along and install it. We will come and register it. We will do all that to make sure that defibrillator is right, present, correct in the community, and it's going to be available when it's needed. Another key thing as part of that is we keep a log of everything, absolutely everything, from when the defib was deployed, where it is, when it's back in the cabinet, but most importantly, pads and batteries. So it's pointless having a defibrillator out there that the pads are out of date or the battery is flat. So we monitor and manage all of that to make sure that that defibrillator is working at all times. Thank you, Ros in Shrewsbury, or Shrewsbury. Mo in Stafford, what is the point of having a defib if it's locked? Real good question. We get asked this question quite a lot. So you can have unlocked defib cabinets and you can have locked. Our preference is locked, and we like locked because it keeps the defib safe. It gives that overall sort of control to the ambulance service. They know if they've given the code, they know if they've told someone to go and get the defib, they know that they can make that defibrillator inactive because it is effectively on another job. It also, another key thing, is in the panic of a cardiac arrest, if you go to your local defib cabinet and it's locked, you're going to call 999 to get the code. So it also prompts that 999 call to get the ambulance on the road and to your patient that needs it. Things with unlocked is, unfortunately, defibrillators do get stolen. So effectively, people can just help themselves. There's no control. So the ambulance service will tell you to go and get it, but somebody else may have got it, or they may not have returned it. So there's no control. And also what we do find is someone will have a fall in a supermarket, for example, and they'll just go and get the defib because someone's had a fall, but actually they don't need a defib for a fall, it's for a cardiac arrest. So for someone who's unconscious, not breathing, and people are trying to help and they think that they're doing the right thing, whereas in fact they're just helping themselves to the defib because it's unlocked. So that's the reason why we like locked. All of our defibrillators that we place, and if they're in locked cabinets, are all registered with the ambulance service. It's absolutely key, so they will all have the code. The only reason they wouldn't deploy you to that defibrillator is if that defibrillator is out on another job. Okay, so goes back to my question before, we'll never have a site inactive with with out-of-date pads or an empty battery because we manage that. So all of our sites currently are live. I think check the system before, check the system every morning, and we've got 2 sites out at the moment. One is heading back and one is still at the ambulance service heading back. That'll be back in the site today. So we never normally have an empty cabinet for more than 24 hours maximum. If it is longer than that, then we provide a loan unit. Next question. Why is it better to have a public access defib? That's from James in Glasgow. Thank you, James. It's always good to have public access because they're available 24/7 effectively. So if something happened outside on a supermarket car park, my local supermarket has one indoors, for example, they don't want them outdoors. They've categorically said that they don't want them outdoors. But if something happened on that car park at 2 o'clock in the morning, they would not be able to gain access to that defib because it's inside and it's locked. You can almost see it through the door. So it is good to have them public access just because they're available 24/7. How does the ambulance service know where defibs are? Melissa in Stoke-on-Trent. Thank you, Melissa. As I've said before in this video, defibrillators are all logged on the ambulance service database. There is a new system coming out called the National Defibrillator Database, National Defibrillator Network, which is run in 4 or 5 ambulance trusts across the country at the moment, and that will be rolled out to every trust. If it's on the National Defibrillator Network or NDN, it's really simple and easy for us to register the device and then set up that site as a guardian so that they can almost look after that site, but we can keep an eye on things from here. If it is an ambulance trust that isn't on the NDN, then we follow their protocol to get the defibrillator registered in the meantime. Why does the cabinet have to have an electrical supply if the defib is battery powered? Apologies, Mark from Kent. So the defibrillator cabinet does have to be electrically installed. Inside the defibrillator cabinet there is a heater and a thermostat and a light. So effectively, in the colder months when the temperature drops, we want to keep that defib at a nice ambient temperature. The pads have gel on, so we want to keep them at a nice ambient temperature, and the battery also needs to be kept at a nice ambient temperature. If you think if you don't start a car for 4 or 5 weeks in the winter, the battery is always flat because it's cold. So that's effectively why we do that, just to keep the defibrillator nice and toasty throughout the winter months. And that's it from me. Thank you for attending our first session of Ask the CEO. If you have any more questions in the meantime, please email them in. If you go to our contact section on the website, aeddonate.org.uk/contact us, feel free to ask any questions, and I hope that we can do one of these sessions sometime soon. Thanks once again, and have a great weekend. Take care.